The most common comments I get under my videos are, who are these random extra people? And I don't remember more than 6 characters. Bestie! In the most respectful way possible, new characters were introduced in 2018. Because my whole comment section stopped watching 2 episodes into season 1 and doesn't know how to use Google, here is a recap of everything that happened since Gecko saved Christmas. Spoilers ahead for all of PJ Masks. I'm sure many of you are somewhat familiar with Season 1 because a lot of my viewers were the target audience in 2015. The show starts out with 3 heroes and 3 villains. Every hero has 3 powers each. Episodes follow a pretty standard format, beginning and ending in the daytime. Every episode has a moral of some sort, and plots focus on simple things like learning to take turns and face your fears. Sometimes the villains team up, and the PJ Masks even team up with villains once in a while. Not much really happens in this season because it's just establishing the show. Season 2 sees some big updates, including smoother animation, more episode titles without character names, and finally 5 new characters. PJ Robot, formerly Minibot, is a friendly robot that Romeo created to infiltrate HQ. This backfired, and the robot ended up joining the PJ Masks team. Despite never doing a single thing wrong, he's kind of the show's punching bag. PJ Robot literally gets kidnapped, beat up, or brainwashed in every single episode. It's insane. The Wolfie kids, Rip, Howler, and Kevin, that's me, are 3 werewolves who wreak havoc but aren't really villains. Kevin becomes friends with Gecko and is generally just more inclined to side with the heroes. Armadillon is an anti-hero with armadillo-themed powers. I cannot say enough good things about this character, and I hate how the show treated him. This season also features the first special episode of the series, titled Moonstruck, which is one of my favorite episodes, by the way. Luna's powers are supercharged during Harvest Moon, allowing her to travel to the moon and claim the Harvest Moon crystal. This crystal transforms her magnet into a Luna wand, which she uses to create her moon fortress. The moon and the moon fortress become regular locations throughout the show. It's also revealed in an episode that Luna will lose her powers during an eclipse, which is pretty interesting. The other new location introduced this season is Mystery Mountain, a mountain located in another dimension accessible through a portal. The mountain also houses a pagoda full of booby traps and magical ancient artifacts. In the Dragon Gong, Night Ninja awakens a wish-granting dragon by stealing a magic gong. The PJ Masks defeat him at the end of the episode and return the mallet with the gong. Okay, remember that for later. In one of the biggest episodes of the season, the PJ Masks discover that their powers originate from a huge crystal embedded in HQ, and gain new powers: Super Owl Feathers, Super Cat Stripes, and Super Gecko Shields. The PJ Masks aren't the only ones to get new powers this season either. Night Ninja and the Ninjalinos now have Ninja Fingers, or telekinesis. It's also revealed that the Ninjalinos have names.
Your Ninjalinos have names? I don't usually use them,
6 characters are introduced this season. Yes, this will become a pattern. Remember that dragon from earlier? That was actually a 2,000-year-old dragon girl named An Yu, the guardian of Mystery Mountain who spent 1,000 years imprisoned in the Dragon Gong. She has so much lore, I would probably need an entire video to get into all of it. Teeny Weeny, the tiny Ninjalino, falls into some magic splat on Mystery Mountain and turns into the Splat Monster, which is pretty insignificant all things considering, but is kind of a fun plot point in my opinion. Matsuki is Luna's sister. Or, in other words, Luna hatches one of her moths in a cave and it becomes this thing. Matsuki is as adorable as she is horrible and completely overpowered. The PJ Pets, also referred to as their spirit animals, are also introduced this season, and they don't really do much, but I guess they guide the PJ Masks on their missions sometimes. I don't know. The last character introduced this season is Santa Claus. That's all I have to say about that. This season starts out with a bang. A 45-minute special where Romeo completely dismantles Luna's moon fortress and kills Matsuki. Amaya loses her powers and memory, and then she jumps out of the sky with no flight powers to save Luna. Jokes aside, I consider this to be the best episode in the series, and I might do a full review of it sometime if anyone is interested in hearing my thoughts about it. This season introduces 4 new characters. Newton Star, the first daytime kid other than the PJ Masks to transform into a superhero, is a scientist who is able to fly through space with the power he absorbed from an asteroid that had fallen in the park, as well as other asteroids. He's a more reserved and studious hero who prefers to work alone, but the PJs treat him like a celebrity and drag him into all of their beef. Monkey Goo is a monkey who was trapped in a statue on Mystery Mountain for 1,000 years, kinda like Yu. He's a neutral antagonist whose main motive is to have fun, and gets a total of 9 episodes in before being axed from the show entirely. Pharaoh Boy is a 4,000-year-old mummy king from the world beyond, a location in Egypt that could potentially be an afterlife. His main motive, like Romeo, is to take over the world. Octabella is an octopus sea witch and siren who is introduced as a twist villain. Octabella is, in my opinion, the only truly evil character in the show other than Romeo. Her entire character revolves around making the other characters' lives miserable regardless of their canon alignment, and throughout the show she specifically targets Gecko for petty reasons that she herself literally forgets later.
Why don't I like the little green guy? Yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah, he didn't know it was mine. It's the stuff he's done since then. Like not let me be mean to him. I don't like that.
She's a fabulously written character, trust. In one episode, Octabella chooses Armadillon as her victim, and fun fact, this is one of my favorite pieces of trivia. Octabella and Armadillon are the only semi-canon ship in the show, due to this one episode where Armadillon says,
"Tentacle girl? We're just friends."
Speaking of Armadillon, after one last appearance near the end of the season, Armadillon is axed from the show for the next 2 years. He is the only character to date to be removed from the show for this long. This season begins with an arc where Luna and Matsuki enter a feud that leaves Luna stranded on Earth for the whole season. Initially, I thought this was gonna go somewhere, but it doesn't seem like this plotline was introduced for any specific reason other than to cause conflict that didn't really happen because all of the conflict results from them being in contact. Anyway, 7 new characters are introduced this season. Orticia is a plant girl created by Romeo in an experiment. She gets a whopping 5 total episodes before being axed from the show entirely, like Monkey Goo. Pirate Robot is a failed invention created by Romeo. He was supposed to be a chef robot, but he was hijacked by Night Ninja and became a pirate instead, which is pretty funny. Carly and Kartaka are twin aliens from another dimension called Zoomzania, which can only be accessed by high speed. They crushed the PJ Masks' vehicles, which is why the PJ Riders, these ugly, horrifying creatures, decided to exist for transportation reasons only, and not friendship like the PJ Masks would have you believe. They're so ugly I can't even look at them. Let's move on before I throw up. The season ends with Luna and Matsuki's feud spontaneously ending. Disappointing to say the least.
Wow.
In 2023, PJ Masks was rebranded to become PJ Masks Power Heroes. It's an entirely new show with a new theme song, new transformation sequence, and new end credits, but roughly the same format. The one big difference is that every episode no longer features all 3 main heroes, which is kind of a sore spot for me, but whatever, it's PJ Masks. In this season, the PJ Masks form the Baby Avengers and get a new HQ, a space station titled Power Q. Newton and Anu get masks, and the villains also get upgrades due to an evil asteroid that yassifies them. Okay, well, Luna and Romeo get yassified. I can't say the same for Night Ninja.
Look at this dude.
4 new characters are introduced this season. Ivan is a daytime kid who transforms into a polar bear superhero named Ice Cub. None of the other characters ever mention his disability, and instead of his powers erasing his disability, they actually accommodate it. He's awesome disability rep, and he's also played by a disabled voice actor, which is so cool. Lilyfae is a space fairy who's mildly terrifying. That's all I have to say about her. Bastet is a cat girl from the world beyond who is created to fight evil pharaohs, namely Pharaoh Boy. Gloop III is an alien villain from planet Gloop, a new location. Another new location, Ice World, was introduced this season, and it's revealed in a Christmas episode that Ice World is home to the North Pole and Santa's workshop. Yes, for some godforsaken reason, Santa Claus is a recurring character. And finally, to conclude the season, Armadillon returns and gets bullied immediately by both the heroes and the villains. Fortunately, Dylan rejects the PJ's offer to join the team because he knows he's a good enough hero on his own. Good for him! They did my boy so dirty! The show is on hiatus for now, but it seems hopeful that it'll come back. Currently, Hasbro is just struggling financially, the director quit, and Teamto, the animation studio that made PJ Masks, went bankrupt before recently being picked up by Riva Studios. Currently, Season 7 is in limbo until PJ Masks switches hands, but I think that frankly they would be stupid to not continue it. PJ Masks is an extremely profitable franchise, and the rebrand is brand new, so I think there's a pretty good chance of the show returning. Overall, my favorite seasons would be seasons 1 to 3. Season 4 wasn't my favorite, and Power Heroes holds up in my opinion, but season 5 is just not worth watching at all. It's that bad. I tried to rewatch it and I couldn't even get past the first few episodes. I'm not happy with every change in the show, and some plot points are slow, but the show is fairly decent overall. I like the way PJ Masks is for the most part, but if I could rewrite it, I would definitely do more of those small, ongoing plot lines. Although PJ Masks' attempted arcs seemed promising at first, the format of the show made it hard for those plot lines to be fully fleshed out, instead leading the storyline to become repetitive and tired or forgotten entirely. One forgotten plotline in specific that I mourn every single day was Luna's redemption arc. I won't talk about it too much right now, but it would have been so cool, you guys. I would also make sure there was a concrete origin story inspired by the books. PJ Power Up was better than nothing, but there was still way too much mystery surrounding the origins of their powers in general. I'd also just love to incorporate more of the book lore in general, such as Amaya having a baby sister, the Apophis lore, and Morticia being Night Ninja and Romeo's child. No consumption of moths, though. I know I complain a lot about there being too many characters, but I think it could work if they had fewer appearances and were rewritten to be more fleshed out. I'm not a big fan of the Avengers type format where every character is in every episode. I would much rather stick with the show's original format and have some occasional appearances from other characters. Lastly, I would publicly execute the PJ writers. They can burn in hell. I cannot believe it has officially been a year since I started this channel. This past year has been a crazy year for the PJ Masks fandom despite the hiatus, and although it hasn't all been fun, I have enjoyed making these videos and hearing your thoughts so much. I still have ideas for silly content, but I definitely plan on continuing to make video essays because I love to yap about my special interests, and I love having an audience to do that with. Be sure to leave a comment. I read all of them, and I love hearing from you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.